If I was an animal, I'd probably actually just be a wild boar.
You wouldn't be a meerkat? What about a meerkat, bro?
No, I'm not built like a meerkat. Look at me, I'm built like a swine.
If I were an animal, I'd be a red panda.
Why?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 1313 Podcast, the most mediocre podcast in the Star Wars universe. I'm Jacob.
I'm Jackson.
I'm Tommy.
Welcome back, all you Regs, to all you Shinies. Welcome to the podcast. This is the podcast. Please, before we begin, make sure that you are liking and subscribing and commenting on this video and to the channel because we really appreciate it. Also, if you haven't already, make sure that you are following us on all of our social medias, that being Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch. Links are all in the description below. And if you want to go above and beyond in supporting the podcast, please consider supporting us on Patreon because the first of every month we do a nice little giveaway for those in our 1313 tier, our Gungan boss tier. And next month we're going to be giving away none other than Black Series Scorch from the gaming grade. So if you want to get your hands on that figure and also support a really cool group of dudes, consider supporting us on Patreon. Fellas, how's everybody doing right now?
Doing okay.
Just right now.
I'm doing okay just right now, ready to, after we record this, zoom home, edit it, and eat dinner.
That's factual.
Probably going to be grilled cheese and ramen noodles.
Ooh, grilled cheese is good, though. I haven't had that in a minute.
Goated grilled cheese? You put some pepper jack on that?
No.
Jackson doesn't like cheese.
But grilled cheese is fine.
Jackson just butters the bread and cooks it on
That's
the
crazy,
pan.
bro, because you are simply the most cheesiest person I've ever met in my life.
Thank you. Making me cheese over here.
Wow, I need to just quit the show.
Anyway.
Okay, guys, let's talk about the newest episode, Chapter 19 of...
The Mid-DeLorean.
Not the Mid-DeLorean.
The Chapter 19, The Convert.
Dun dun. Dun dun.
Going into this episode, we all have differing opinions, so...
Yeah, no kidding. So generally, I really liked this episode.
I thought it was okay.
I really enjoyed it.
So I guess the first thing I want to jump into, let's just jump into the one thing that took up the most runtime, that being the Dr. Pershing arc. So I just want to point out, this was, when I was watching this with my dad, I said out loud, the second I saw the New Republic symbol on Coruscant was, yes, this is what I've been wanting to see for almost 10 years. I wanted to see why the New Republic was a government that was so weak and failed and allowed for the First Order to rise up. And really, in this one single episode of The Mandalorian, I've been completely satisfied with all that storyline.
It was really, really dope, in my opinion, to see Coruscant, at least, finally, after all this time. And then not just, like, a quick shot here and here of Coruscant, but, like, live in the world again. Like, go to that theater that Anakin and Palpatine did in Revenge of the Sith. Yes,
And the
why is the scientist speaking at an opera house, though?
TED Talk. Also, the shot of...
TED Talk.
Star Wars TED Talk.
Female ex-Imperial officer walking up the stairs is the same shot of Anakin walking up it in episode 3. Nice little visual parallel for you.
I think her name is Elia Kane, I think. I might be pronouncing her first name wrong.
I'm pretty sure.
Elia Kane.
She's the main reason why I thought this episode was okay.
Jacob, do you want to tell us why you don't like the episode because of her?
It's not that I don't like the episode. It's just I didn't think it was that good. On multiple accounts of one, I thought her acting was very poor in this episode, and I could see right through everything that I could tell she was going to betray him at the end. Like when we first started, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that she was a very good actor, and I feel like just her presence gave away exactly what was going to happen. I feel like Dr. Pershing is cool. I like to see that they're taking these ex-Imperials and actually rehabilitating them into New Republic society, taking those that are defecting from the remnants, which I think is a cool concept.
Rehabilitating or indoctrinating? Because they are brainwashing them in a way.
Yeah, maybe indoctrinating. That was weird seeing the brainwashing table at the end. I don't know why is Miss Miss Bad Girl jacking it up to 11, zapping the dude's brain.
Tommy got a theory.
Theory time.
Oh, no.
So, once again, Tommy's preemptive conversations with Jackson at work stem into this episode. So, it's like a double cross of a double cross. So, I'm going to just call her Ms. Kane because I'm going to butcher her first name. She is ultimately aligned with the Empire, I think, because she was Moff Gideon's right-hand woman during season 2. She was in several scenes
Or man, we can't
with
assume.
Moff Gideon. She was in several scenes with Moff Gideon throughout season 2, whether it was about the Dark Troopers or sitting on the bridge with him. So she is high up, and we can only assume that she was captured because of the season 2 finale when they took over that light cruiser. So we can assume that Cara Dune brought her to Coruscant along with Moff Gideon, and they were separated from there. So what I think she's doing is the New Republic thinks that she's helping them, because what she's doing is rooting out people who the New Republic see as breaking the rules, going out of their little restricted zone, and doing things that would actually help them, but they think they're doing it too because they're, evil Imperials. Whereas I think she's actually making sure that no Imperial is giving away any talent or any research or any secrets that could have benefited the Empire. So that's why she turns it up to 11 and has him, because doing that makes him forget everything, basically wipes his mind like wiping a droid's memory, and turns him into an empty shell of what he used to be. So I think that she was trying to see where his alignment was, and so in him saying that he just really wanted to help the New Republic, she was like, okay, this guy's not through and through for the Empire. I'm gonna make sure that this information never gets leaked at all.
I take that as a very plausible idea. That's something I didn't think about, and I thought it was a pretty good idea too, to be honest, just because, he wants to do this good for the New Republic instead of helping the Empire like his original intentions were. But what do you think, Jake, after hearing that?
I mean, it makes sense.
Blocking my figure.
But then again, it doesn't change that L character, in my opinion.
Wow.
I don't know. It's I get it. A double crossing isn't something that's new to cinema. It's not something that we haven't seen before, especially within Star Wars. But I don't know. What real purpose does this was the one guy that had all of the knowledge on cloning Force sensitives. He was the one that was doing all of that research for Moff Gideon, and now his memory's wiped.
I don't think it was cloning Force sensitives. I think it was more for cloning. Well, yeah, cloning Force. I think it was.
He says that they need a donor with a high M count, midichlorian count, Grogu.
Well, now we know. We know through his TED Talk through TEDx Coruscant that he was talking about cloning organs and cloning parts of a body and taking strands of DNA from two individuals to mix them and make them into a more, I guess, a better cloned version. So that's why they wanted Grogu's M count, and they needed his blood to get his DNA to mix with Palpatine's DNA, which makes me wonder.
We had pickled Snokes.
Is Mara Jade still plausible in Star Wars?
No.
Because she was Palpatine's hand. Could you clone and create a being out of a hand then? Because he is taking body. This is just my mind spiraling.
She's not literally his hand. In Heir to the Empire, she's referred as the Emperor's hand because out of Darth Vader, she was like Darth Vader but incognito all the time. She worked entirely in espionage and took the Emperor's work out of the back door. That's why she was his hand. She was the one that carried out his bidding because specifically she had a Force-sensitive power that allowed her to communicate with the Emperor from across the galaxy. So he could just be like, kill this person. She'd be like, cool.
Can you tell that I never read Heir to the Empire?
Heard of Luke Skywalker?
She's not literally cloned from the Emperor's hand. She's a Force-sensitive person in the galaxy of Star Wars that, at least from my knowledge so far, I just finished Dark Force Rising. That's book 2. And they ended it with Luke and Han taking off some stormtroopers' helmets, and they were all clones of each other. So I was like, oh, so this is where clone troopers came from, kinda.
Dude.
So, and that's the Mount Tannis project in the book. So I can't wait to see where that leads to in the
What if we
Batch.
get some reference back, at least in this series, to Mount Tannis in some capacity?
It would make 100% sense, especially with this dude being a cloner, and we see them on Mount Tantis in Bad Batch with the same uniform.
Because he can't be the
cloners.
last one. Because then I feel like this also kind of brings into question for me, where did those TIE interceptors come from and who do they belong to? They just showed up out of nowhere.
The entire fleet of TIE interceptors?
Exactly. They had a whole fleet of TIE interceptors and bombers.
Where do they go?
I'm going to go off on a stretch here. And I'm going to pull a Jacob on this one too, because someone on Discord mentioned it. What if that's Thrawn's fleet? Not Thrawn's ship himself, but like a section of his fleet that was sent out to find Bo-Katan or the Mandalorian in some way, shape, or form.
I think it's Moff Gideon.
You think
Gideon's controlling them from prison?
I mean,
behind the door.
Like
we saw how much Zero the Hutt did from prison in the Clone Wars.
That is
He was organizing all kinds of stuff. Same with Newt Gunray.
That is true.
We saw all kinds
It
of
is
stuff.
a possibility.
Now, I guess my question is, with all this stuff, but we also know though, so all the information that was stored on Moff Gideon's cruiser is probably destroyed because that was Dr. Pershing's whole job. They put him to work to literally just destroy all these data disks and just delete all the files.
Mm-hmm.
So, who knows, man?
Well, a lot of these like Imperial, what's the branch offs, I guess, or offshoots?
Remnants?
Yeah, remnants of the Empire don't work together most of the time. They do their own thing. Like, do you really think Moff Gideon was notified about when we saw back to season 2 The Mandalorian when Din Djarin and the comedian guy, Bill Burr infiltrated that base that was there?
Migs Mayfeld.
Also,
I don't think that those troopers are going to be Thrawn's people because we see a TIE fighter pilot in his canopy, and all of Thrawn's troops that were directly under him wore this symbol on their arm, and it would have been visible enough. It bugged out the camera, but
sorry, show it again. There we go.
You would have at least seen like a little bit of that patch on the sleeve, just a little bit of it, and there's nothing. So
maybe they don't wear it even.
I doubt that's where it's going.
What if they got the resources to not do that?
I don't want to get my hopes up. I highly doubt that that's what it is.
But it still begs the question of who is it and why are they out there? Like, it's just like, it makes no sense from the story that we've seen so far that there's just Imperials out there like, oh yeah, by the way, these people just bombed your castle and this whole fleet of TIE interceptors. And it's like, oh, where'd y'all come from? We thought the Empire was gone now.
Oh.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I wanted to point out some of the examples of the weak government that is the New Republic and the bureaucracy here. When the senators are the rich senators are talking to Dr. Pershing after his TED Talk,
what government are we under now?
What difference does it make? Empire, rebels? I barely know her.
Because they live on Coruscant their whole lives with all that wealth.
They've always had the wealth and the power. Why would they care?
The war came to Coruscant in episode 3, but in space because they never canonized a ground invasion. Maybe besides Grievous, taking people. But that's
it happened.
That's canon.
No, it happened
because they mention it in the passing line in the Clone Wars season 7 that people have been dispatched to protect the Chancellor, but he's going to get captured.
Oh, shoot, you're right. There is... Yeah, no, you are right then. My bad.
So basically that whole part of the 2003 Clone Wars is canon. Not probably exactly how it happened, but... and then another thing, too, if you notice there was an aside, I think it was made by one of the Mon Cala people, said that not only was the Imperial fleet being decommissioned, the Rebel fleet was also being decommissioned. Because we know that in Star Wars Resistance, this gets mentioned, as well as in The Force Awakens, that the New Republic has no fleet. They have no fighting force, which is really stupid if you have a galaxy-wide government. You should probably have some sort of military that can travel from system to system to protect what's yours. But yeah, they did mention that both the fleets were being decommissioned. It wasn't just the Imperial fleet. Yeah. So that's another thing. And then just like when Dr. Pershing is talking to his therapist droid, you see how bureaucratic and like they don't actually care about the Imperials. The New Republic just wants to get them over with and give them little jobs so that they can say that they were better than the Empire because they didn't just kill them outright. Which also brings me to the point, I think it's really stupid that the Empire, or that the New Republic was like, let's keep all the Imperial people together in one little area.
Mm-hmm.
That's really dumb, in my opinion, because that's just asking, it's inviting some sort of mutiny or conflict.
It's weird that they only give them numbers. They're not referring to each other as their names.
Ooh, that's right.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you dehumanizing them if you're trying to have them in your society?
Hi,
also,
L52.
Did you notice that I have a couple Easter eggs that I noticed throughout this episode?
Okay.
One, all the data discs that he's getting rid of, it's the same type of card that the rebels are handing to Leia through the door in Rogue One.
Yeah.
And then when they go to the space carnival, in the background you can hear a carnivalized version of the March of the Resistance theme.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, because it sounded goofy. That's why I was like,
bum ba-da-dum, bum ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum. So
now we're
that's
getting
in the
copyright
bathroom.
struck on that.
There was that, and then when Pershing is looking in the mirror and he's like, "You're doing this for good," Snoke's theme plays in the background of that. There's a whole lot of musical cues calling to the sequels in this.
Nuh-uh.
There was a lot of them. So I was kind of...
Sequel's not canon. Sequel bad.
He's right. Only the first 6 movies are canon. Nothing else other than that.
Nothing else in my mind.
If George Lucas didn't write it, it's not canon.
I really liked the idea that we were getting again that the Rebel fleet and the Imperial fleet are being dismantled. Because again, it's like what you said. This show is now existing as the bridge that Clone Wars was to Revenge of the Sith and what came beyond. It's making sense of like, why was the New Republic so helpless to the First Order? Like, why didn't they have anything? Mm-hmm. I mean, we get these these random marshals around the galaxy flying around in X-Wings, like, administering the law.
They don't want to do the work.
They don't want to do the work, and then there's just nothing else, like, going out there that they can find, because they're so, like, oblivious and ignorant to everything else. We saw them a whole lot more in Season 1 and 2 of The Mandalorian, but, like, not at all in Season 3.
They got complacent.
Yep.
They thought that they had everything figured out.
The galaxy had peace.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And once again, wealth and riches destroyed the Star Wars universe.
You think Pabu still existed?
Nah, definitely not.
Can we also talk about the loveliness that was Din Djarin's story arc of being Kylo Ren from episode 8 to episode 9 in this episode, where the helmet comes back on and he's all hunky-dory back to his old ways?
Bro, okay, let's talk the actual Mandalorian.
Yeah.
In the minute. No, I do think though that whole storyline is going to come back to us later on. That thing we saw, and they got it out of the way.
I think it's weird and kind of sneaky that Bo-Katan was like, "Did you see anything?" No. Well, neither did I. And kind of.
We were talking about
theory time.
Theory time.
She's keeping it to herself, so whoever tames the Mythosaur rules Mandalore, and she's going to try to do that instead of having the Darksaber. Or try to get them both.
And on top of that now, she also has a group of Mandalorians who are friendly to her too.
So who's
because she lost all her initial people that were going to take over Mandalore because she didn't bring back the Darksaber.
Now she's going to be, oh gee, this is the way.
So she's going to fake it.
To make it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And now she's going to go get the Mythosaur, and she's going to try to do it by herself, and then she's going to go, oh no, I need help.
What if the Mythosaur eats her? Like, what if she straight up dies in this
can't
season?
eat Daddy Bo.
The Mythosaur kills her because she's not worthy. What'd you just say?
Nothing. I slept up on my words,
Daddy
bro.
Bo?
Did you say Bo-Katan?
No.
I think you mean mommy.
I think you
Mommy
mean
Tan.
Lizard Lady. I think you mean
bro,
Lizard
don't
Lady.
Be dissing her like that
don't
because
be
of one
dissing
photo.
Katie
Dude,
Sackhoff,
I don't, bro. You cannot
don't be
dispute.
dissing
This is like
Katie
this is like
Sackhoff.
Michael Jackson plastic
They did her
surgery
dirty in
type
that photo. She is a beautiful woman.
Her
Don't you
Botox
say
says
that about her.
otherwise.
Don't say that about her.
She purdy. I'll give her that.
No, but
Hey guys, I'm at Galaxy's Edge with Mando.
that was the biggest plot twist of this. One of the biggest
going to
plot
Galaxy's
twists.
Edge with Mando.
One of the biggest plot twists
Yo,
of this
what if
episode
they go to
was
Galaxy's Edge?
Damn!
Jackson, we have fire in here.
That's true. Let me repeat myself for the third time now.
What if Mando goes to Disney?
All right. One of the biggest plot twists of this episode, in my opinion, was the fact that Bo-Katan joins the covert. Like, she joins notionally for right now the covert because she kept her helmet on. Like,
let's give
I didn't
it
see that
up for
happening at
this
all.
week's made up word of the 1313 podcast.
What do you mean?
Notionally.
You've never heard that? No. Wait,
not
I
a
use
word.
that. Yes, it is. I use it all the time. We have to
Look that up.
notionally. Yeah, like when we do labs, we notionally place claymores so that we can do things.
Is it a word?
It is a word.
It's an adverb.
These fellas think I'm stupid.
Okay.
These fellas questioning my intelligence.
I didn't say anything this time. I didn't say anything.
Okay, I'll give you that one, but you have to give me credit because you do frequently create new words for the English vocabulary.
No. I've never done that once in my life.
Yes, do not lie.
I swear.
Do not lie.
No.
You are on camera. I guarantee someone watching this will go back and find a clip where you made up a word.
No, but because I never thought that she would even like be okay with doing that. But again, like to what Tommy and Jacob are saying, she's faking it till she can make it. She'll get their support for now. And I feel like she'll stab Din Djarin in the back when it comes to it, so she can be like, I rule Mandalore now, yippee!
I think she's going to try to trick him.
I hands down think Grogu's going to say a word by the end of this season. They've hinted at him twice saying words, where we've had Pelly hold him and be like, he says first word, and then we had a, this is the way, and Grogu go, ew, up.
Grogu's first words is going to be notionally.
Grogu's
I
gonna
can't
pop
stand
out,
all people.
Indubitably.
Dude,
Tommy, this isn't you. Stop being like this.
I need a Snickers, dude. Anyways.
Please sponsor us. Anyway.
Yeah, for me, the Bo-Katan situation is... It's just her selfishness. I think that this is... We all predicted that she was...
She's just a goofy goober, and you can't discount her for that.
Stop being such a silly goose, Tommy. Let Bo-Katan be her queen self.
Bo-Katan slay.
No, I really think...
Shamigwe.
I'm just gonna sit here and say things like slay and yas.
Slay. Side eye, Jacob.
You're taking it too far. Like, I was just quoting Pedro Pascal, and I don't know what you did. I don't know what you did.
So
You mean Zaddy?
Did you watch Zaddy on Hot Ones?
No, I didn't.
It's a good episode. You should watch it.
I heard he just dominates the wing and then just drinks the bottle.
He doesn't actually. He acts like he does, but no, he wasn't having a good time when he took the bomb.
Dang.
Oh, we should do a Hot Ones like episode of us interviewing each other.
We cannot
No,
do
it would
that.
be great because Jackson is absolutely abhorrent with hot food.
Abhorrent? Are we making a word?
No, that's a word.
That's a word.
I know
That's
it's a word.
Silly goose.
Yeah, so Bo-Katan... I think there were a couple shots at the end there that kind of laid the groundwork for what's going to happen this season. There's a shot where Bo-Katan is staring at the Mythosaur skull, so that's just a reminder that her thoughts are on the Mythosaur. And then we also see a shot of Paz Vizsla. He's the only one not congratulating Din Djarin and Bo-Katan back into the covert. I think this is happening for a couple reasons. One, he thinks it's his birthright to own the Darksaber because he's somehow related to Pre Vizsla. Secondly, he now is going to have some beef with Bo-Katan because Bo-Katan and the Night Owls also deserted from the Death Watch. And
Paz Vizsla is a religious zealot, and he is the most extremist in their group.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
100%.
So
I would love to see Bo-Katan and Paz Vizsla fight before the end of the season.
This season's leaning really hard on the ideas of like a religious pilgrimage and discipleship. And it's moving. They mentioned this a lot in the Screen Crash that we watched. How it's moving from samurai western to more of like a religious epic, in the way that story's being told.
I just had an idea.
I don't want to hear it.
So, like, I get that Din Djarin had to bathe in the waters of the mines of Mandalore, but we just found out in this episode that the armor's using water from the mines. Why couldn't she, like, baptize him in those waters?
Because she didn't want to.
That defeats the purpose.
Yeah, she didn't want to.
Also, how do we know that is exactly water from the living waters? We know that she puts
because the water reacts to it.
It might just have like a reaction to the solution.
What if it's just a pot full of piss, man? It could be anything.
It's like a porta potty with that blue liquid.
It's a porta potty. Tastes good.
When I worked at the ice skating rink downtown, we had a single porta potty, and this dude got mad because we locked it for the night, and then the next day it was tipped over. And it wasn't like one of those small skinny ones. It was like a big one it was bolted to the ground. So the dude was absolutely cracked out, and he flipped it. We also opened it one day.
Get that crackhead energy.
There was a guy in there, so that was fun.
Nice.
Dead?
No.
Okay.
But
drunk.
I did want to talk about how cool it was to see TIE interceptors back in Star Wars.
I like TIE. They're my favorite variant of TIE fighters. I like them because they go fast.
Yeah.
They were really cool to see. I like that Bo-Katan was struggling to fly around the cliffs before she watches her house get carpet bombed. That was pretty crazy.
Bo-Katan enters Minecraft server just to see her.
Bro, they griefed my house. Bro, they griefed my house.
Bro, you offline griefed me.
I love that her Starfighter, the way that it's built, everything's stacked in the back on these two hinges, so you'd be like, oh, you would think like normal airplane wings, they have like a little bit of wobble to them, and it's animated in such a way that they always kind of like they're always juddering in the wind, and they're locked, but they're not like perfectly stiff. It's a really nice detail.
Dude, how about when she pulls that move? I was like, because I thought it was just gonna be one of those where I was like, she cuts the engines, and I was like, oh, and then we find out that she can swim with the ship, and the ship can like.
That's what I thought.
No, she turned and tapped X just to drift a little bit.
That was sick. That was one of the cool. That was like it reminded me of in Andor when we saw Luthen's ship in action for the first time. I was like, oh!
Stuff like this. It makes me sad that the Rogue Squadron project got shelved because the ship battles are getting cooler and cooler.
Yeah, and they look really. This one, especially the low altitude ones. Mm-hmm. This one was super cool. Mm-hmm. I also like though we have that moment with Bo-Katan where she's flying toward the bombers. She takes one out. She's about to take a second one out, and then Din sees all these other pings, and I thought it was just gonna be like 6, and then they just kept coming, and I was like,
whoa! I absolutely, oh my gosh, the composition of this beautiful shot of the N1 going straight up and then cutting the engines and then folding down. It's not like we haven't seen any sort of thing shot like that move before, but just the way that it was presented. It's my professor in film says, you have seen every story that has ever been written. There's only 11 stories, and every single story is pretty much the same. It's the flair and the spice and the flavor that you put on how you make those stories look that makes a film interesting. For example, if you have a movie that came out this summer about a young star with a lot of talent that rose to stardom very quickly, and then tragedy strikes, and then it ends with their tragic death. Am I talking about the movie Elvis, or am I talking about the Whitney Houston movie? Which one am I talking about? They are the exact same premises, just the way that the story is shown to you is what makes it interesting. Here's your little tidbit for the day.
I like that, though.
Nice.
What would Star Wars be like Whitney Houston?
What did you just say?
I'm Jacob. I'm joking.
Anakin's story is like Whitney Houston. Young one with a lot of talent rises to
Anakin said crack is whack.
He didn't do crack and die in a bathtub. Well, he did die in a liquid. Anakin is Whitney Houston, guys.
He didn't die. He just got really hurt.
You did not kill Anakin.
And so did Whitney Houston's daughter 1 year later.
I did.
So, with that being said, I really, really liked, again, seeing all the Mandalorians. I loved the one that had the cool cape draped over him. I've heard that these are Mando mercs, or at least in the first episode of the season, they were Mando mercs that they called to the set and then switched their armor all around to make them look different.
Star Wars cosplaying could not be such a bigger deal at this moment in time.
If you live in Southern California.
Yeah, if you live in Southern California. Like, I feel like this changes it now because everyone was like, I need a Stormtrooper costume so I can be in Star Wars. And now they're like, oh yeah, we'll pull from the Mando mercs, which are non-canonical Mandalorians by any means, but it's just people who dress up in Mandalorian armor and express themselves how Mandalorians are meant to be. So I think that's really cool.
That's the cool thing about Mandalorians. Is it's not like they have a straight canon look. They can look within a set of parameters in a lot of different ways.
I think the only two common themes with Mandalorians is, other than just the T-visor helmet, most of them, because Din Djarin doesn't have it, you have that little like hexagonal like crest thing.
Yeah, the Iron Heart.
Yeah. It's weird.
Everybody usually has their chest plate with the Iron Heart with the little thing down the center, except for Paz Vizsla. Paz Vizsla has one continuous breastplate, but he still has the seal in the center.
It was very interesting. I really want to see him fight again. I have a feeling it's so weird because I keep thinking about that shot in the trailer where it's Bo-Katan dropping down on Navarro with night owls. There's no question about that. They all look they all have the same color scheme. So I guess I'm wondering, is Bo-Katan going to go back to Mandalore, tame the Mythosaur, and then claim being the ruler of Mandalore, and then all the Mandalorians are going to be like, you need the Darksaber, so then she goes after Din?
I feel like we saw in today's episode a shot that was very similar of Mando just belly flopping out of the hangar section. And let's be honest, Marvel is already king of doing this, of having misleading shots in trailers.
Yeah.
And we've already seen this happen once in Star Wars in Rogue One, when there's a trailer where Jen Erso is walking out to that platform to reconfigure how the antennas align to get it to the rebellion, and a TIE fighter comes up. But that's not in the movie.
I heard that was because that was just test footage that they were doing. And they were like, oh, we need a trailer.
Nope, it would probably be something from the trailer house was given footage, and they were told to doctor the footage slightly to make some shots different. And they were probably listed, hey, change this.
Yeah, like how stuff in Endgame is different too.
There's lots of stuff, like in Marvel does it a ton. Like they'll have different shots and they'll give it to a VFX house strictly for the trailer, and they'll have them make it one way so it gets out that way. That way, if there's a spoiler within that scene or there's a different character in that scene, the trailer from the shots from the trailer house, which are more likely to be leaked, aren't exactly what's going to happen.
I don't know, dude, because you also get a shot in the trailers it's like in the city of Navarro. There's Paz Vizsla shooting, and then you see one of the Night Owls like fighting too. Like, and it's just a shot of a close up of like one of the Night Owls fighting.
What if it's the pirate gang from Navarro at first, and they're coming back, and then Mando recruits them all to help fight back?
No. That's not. Because it just got announced.
The pirates are going to come back.
It just got announced that the pirate gang is the main antagonist for Skeleton Crew.
I did hear about that.
That's why they got introduced, is for like a member berry, so that you'll recognize them when you see them again in Skeleton Crew. So I really honestly would think it was so lame if the pirate gang was the big bad of this season, and it was like, oh no, the Mandalorians have to get together and be friends.
What part of the timeline does Skeleton Crew take place?
Around now.
It's the same time period.
Oh.
Yeah. It takes place in Wild Space, where Ahsoka's going to take place.
All of these shows are going to all tie in. All of them.
Oh,
We're going to have an endgame kind of Nexus event with this.
Yeah. That's why I introduced the idea of Thrawn, even, because, like, what if season 3 ends with Thrawn, so then so he's already, like, in it, and then for Ahsoka, they just pick up from there and go.
I wouldn't like that, because...
Really?
If Thrawn was out there, wouldn't Gideon know about it?
Well, wouldn't
Gideon be working with him?
They already set up Thrawn, though, because, like...
Yeah, he's already been set up in season 2.
Yeah,
we know that he's coming.
But, like, the physical him, like, there.
No.
I feel like if anything's going to be Thrawn, it's going to be the last 3 seconds of, like, after the fact is somewhere else in the galaxy, and it's going to be the wind-up to Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Just to build some hype. But we know in about a month we're getting that Ahsoka, like, full-length trailer. And we're probably... Thrawn's already been name-dropped. If anything, we're going to see, like, the back side of him and this much of his head and this much of his shoulder, and we're going to hear his voice at the very end of the trailer, and that's going to be it. We're going to get like an Emperor situation, like with The Rise of Skywalker.
That's fine, though.
I feel like that's going to be the first time we see Thrawn. And then I will ascend.
He will ascend. You heard it here first.
He will ascend.
Overall, I think I give this episode a solid 8. Mainly because I do think that all this Pershing stuff and all this Coruscant stuff is going to come back later. I don't think they wouldn't just throw this in for no reason. I mean, unless it was just to fulfill the purpose of bridging the gap between Mando and the sequels, which I find to be pretty random and shallow. I think that Jon Favreau is way smarter than that. So
I don't know how to rate this episode, because although I didn't enjoy it as much as last week's, I understand that the part that I disliked about it, it's like any part of like a season 1 of a series. This is setting up something that's going to be bigger to happen later on. I'm just kind of like, after seeing the Mythosaur last episode, I was mega hyped to see like what happens next. Like, whoa, where is this going to lead? But the fact that it was just kind of disregarded within the first couple seconds, and now it's just going to be like a memory bit to come out later in the season, I was just kind of like, oh man, I want more Mythosaur. But
we do know the Mythosaur is very central to this season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, going forward, yes.
Yeah, 100%. So I think honestly this was also an opportunity for them to just like give everyone a second to breathe a little bit. That's what the Bad Batch did this week too. Gave everybody a chance to just breathe before we jump back into the action.
I really liked the episode for what it was. I'm super duper intrigued to see how this Jedi bit that we get in the trailer comes into play. That's one of the only other scenes we haven't seen.
I feel like everything that we haven't seen in the trailers already is going to happen next episode.
I'm like surprised we're
Cara
this far in
Dune
with
dies, and Din has to go to Coruscant to go to her funeral. And he runs into the marshal that he ran into in season 2. And that's where they go travel to the Museum of the Jedi Temple. And Grogu has a PTSD flashback.
Wait a minute.
And then Grogu runs away.
Speaking of Marshall, when's Cobb Vanth gonna come back into this? Because we know that he was getting worked on by some the modders at the very end of Book of Boba.
Never.
Probably in a Book of Boba sequel. Or maybe he goes back to
Book
Tatooine
of Boba
at
season
some
2
point.
is a thing.
Yeah, Din will just go back to Tatooine for the 90 millionth time.
What if Cobb Vanth is the new Marshal of Tatooine, though? Like we mentioned before.
Tatooine?
Yeah.
What if
because
Cobb
Boba
Vanth travels to Jakku and it becomes the Marshal of Jakku, and that's why we have that figure of the dude with the disc on his head? It's actually Cobb Vanth.
Constable Zuvio is actually just Cobb Vanth.
R.I.P. Constable Zuvio. They did my man dirty.
Gave him a figure and everything.
Yeah, because apparently he was like supposed to be like an actual character.
Didn't he have a comic too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was supposed to be like the Marshal of Jakku, and he was supposed to have a whole arc, and then they said, put that under the rug.
Put that on the tab.
A movie is written 3 times. Once in the writing room, once behind the camera, and once in the editing bay. And that is a good example of what happened to Constable Zuvio.
Then it's written a 4th time.
When Kathleen Kennedy comes in, and he's like, oh, we gotta change all this. Because the Force is women, and blah, 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 blah.
My name's Kathleen Kennedy. I just won the weekly wrestling match against Jon Favreau. I get to write this episode of The Mandalorian.
Guys, Star Wars is having another civil war.
I'm so sick of all this fake news from behind this baseless, just rumor mill stuff. It's so annoying.
We have lots of rumors to talk about on tomorrow's episode of the podcast, so be sure to tune in on all the little tidbits and news that we have. I think there's like 7 or 8 different little announcements or rumors that popped up this past week.
Dang, bro.
All I saw was the Acolyte and the Skeleton Crew.
Acolyte, Skeleton Crew. Apparently there's a rumor that there's going to be a show about a de-aged Han Solo, Leia, and Luke Skywalker that's going to tie in with the Mandoverse. Smiles and Jacob. And then
I would absolutely love that.
I would.
Because hear me out. After reading Heir to the Empire, like, and getting through these books, I adore the OT so much more. Because it takes, like, you get like these characters that, like, in the first they're like campy and they're fun, and now like these books they're so mature. Like, you get to see them like making like not naive decisions and just being like, oh, this is my character trait because I'm the smuggler, I'm all goofy. Like, Han Solo has a heart now, and he has stakes as to like why he can't just be a jerk the entire time. And Leia's fighting like, I'm trying to be a Jedi, but I'm also trying to start this new government. And there's infighting because of the freaking Bothans. I hate the Bothans; they suck. But no,
many Bothans die.
You're a Bothist.
To bring us this information.
No, like, I hate Bothans, like straight up. You gotta read these books. Like, actually, they're really good. So no, I got $2 in my Google rewards. I just gotta save up 14 more, and then I can get the last book in the series.
Nice.
Sweet.
And then we'll get to see
Sick nasty.
Yeah, but there were several other rumors that I'm gonna make sure I grab and put on the schedule for tomorrow. And one was that now, the day after our podcast came out, they announced that they are in fact live streaming the Star Wars Celebration on YouTube.
I saw that and I was like, they knew.
We had a source though.
They knew that we were gonna do that, and they were just waiting for us.
Yeah. Yep.
And yeah.
Make us look like clowns.
They had it out for us. They wanted us to look stupid.
Don't cross.
Well, it's a good thing we went over the entire list of We might have to reiterate on tomorrow's episode the entire schedule for.
And I'm happy to do so. I am happy to do so.
Yeah, we should.
Bro,
I think we should.
I think we should.
Just so people know, like, the schedule of like when they should be tuning into.
We should estimate run times for them as well.
Why can't we just repost it?
Times of, like,
why can't we just repost it?
Yeah.
No, we have to. We have to keep the people informed, Jackson.
We do.
No one will know we're sarcastic anymore.
You're not picking up on our sarcasm, right?
I know.
Now.
That's what I'm saying. No one will understand that we're sarcastic anymore.
Oh.
Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the 1313 podcast. Please, if you liked it, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought about this episode of The Mandalorian or The Book of Boba Season 1.5. That's going to make some people mad. Please, if you haven't already, follow us on all of our social medias linked below. I told you about them at the beginning of the episode. If you can't remember by now, rewind. I'm not saying it again. Also, support us on Patreon. We very much appreciate all of you patrons in your financial donations to this podcast. It means the world to us. And if you're in the Gungan Boss tier, you can win this Scorch figure, a nice hot button figure. Literally just came out, and he's in the Bad Batch. So make sure that you get him just so you can have him when Hasbro decides to redo the body and make a bigger, chunkier one and re-release it for the Bad Batch.
In
2037.
Yep.
Exactly. Thank you guys for watching. We see you guys next week.
Goodbye, everyone.
Tomorrow, actually. We're going to see you tomorrow.